Hey guys, it's Jessie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video where we are going to be ranking all of my Beauty Bay palettes. So I have quite a few, I don't know how many. I've got 10 Beauty Bay palettes today to rank for you guys. I did this video a few months ago, I think I only had about 4 or 5 then, but we have a lot more now to rank here. So I've got some of their limited edition ones, some of their mini ones, a load of different palettes. So I'm going to go through today and just basically rank them on my personal preference, colour story, quality, all that jazz. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stay tuned and yeah, let's just get straight into it. So I'm going to be going in order from worst to best. I want to preface this by saying I love all of my Beauty Bay palettes. If I didn't, I would get rid of them, but they're my favourite brand, they're my favourite formula. I like all these palettes, but some of them just aren't quite as good as others in my opinion. So the one in last place for me is going to be the New Romantic palette. This one, I just isn't my colour story. I don't really like reds too much. I like the pinks in here, but I like to kind of keep it lighter, and a lot of these shimmers are quite dark, like all of these ones. This one's quite dark, so I've only got a couple of really light shimmers for me to use. So really pretty palette. Some of these shades can also double up as blush tones. I haven't done that personally, but I've heard some people like that. As you can see, I've only really used this palette once. It's really bad because I got it when it was kind of discontinued and they just kind of randomly went back on stock on their site, so I didn't do like a first impressions or anything, but I do really enjoy this palette. I think it's really pretty. I do want to get some more use out of it, so when it comes round in my 1 week 1 palette series, I definitely will enjoy using it. But yeah, just haven't really used this one too much. It's not really my colour story. The quality is kind of mid-range for them. It's not like top quality, but it's not bad by any means. It's just a very decent palette. Then we have my first ever Beauty Bay palette that I got, and that is the Beauty Bay X Nikkie Tutorials palette. This one holds a very special place in my heart, and the shimmers in here are really gorgeous. So you've got Pride and All In, which are two of my favourite shades, and the mattes in here are nice. The lighter ones can be a little bit sheer. You do have to build them up, and Ivy was leaking, so that's why I got rid of it at the top there, but it's still in a singles palette. But yeah, overall this is a really nice palette. Bit of a kind of random colour story. It's not incredibly cohesive, it's not as like awful, it's definitely workable, but yeah, I do like this one. It's just not like my top palette, even though it was for a while. When I first got it, it was like my favourite palette in my whole collection, but now I've got so many more Beauty Bay palettes and other palettes that I love that it just does kind of fall to the bottom of the pack. Then we have the Sunset Horizon. So you'll be able to tell their older palettes, in my opinion, just aren't quite the kind of top quality that their newer palettes are. But we have the Sunset Horizons palette here. I really enjoy this palette. It's really pretty, but I'll be completely honest, I don't really use the bottom row, which is why it's kind of dipping it down for me. These kind of shades up here I really like. This colour here, I think it's Burst. Yeah, it's an absolutely stunning kind of goldy reddy, like almost duochrome. It's really pretty. I really like that palette, so I'm really excited to have it in my collection. I enjoy playing with it. I had it in my 1 week 1 palette and I loved it. So yeah, these kind of 3 shimmers here I really enjoy, and you can see I've got some really good dips going on in there as well. I'm really glad I have this one in my collection. Then we do have one of their newer ones, and this is purely just based on the colour story. So we have the Beauty Bay Golden Age palette in, I believe, 6th place. This was part of their Age of Opulence collection this Christmas, and I really love golds, which is why you're probably surprised because this looks like the perfect palette for me. But I've just found that the mattes in here are just a little tiny bit too neutral for me. I much prefer a bit more of a warmer tone, and these are kind of neutral leaning cool when they're actually on the eyes, which is such a shame, because it does mean that I don't reach for the golds in here too much when they are absolutely stunning, because I just don't reach for the palette as a whole. But I need to definitely make an effort to like reach for these golds as kind of accent shades if I'm looking for like a lid shade to wear. I definitely think this would be a great option. It's such a stunning palette. I really enjoy it, but it's just the mattes for me, they just aren't the right kind of tone for my kind of personal preference. Then we have the other palette from that collection, that is the Age of Opulence palette. This has the ugliest out of packaging ever, I have to say, but inside is really pretty. This is in my 1 week 1 palette rotation for this month, so I'm really excited for when I use it. But this is what the palette looks like. Unfortunately, I've only used it once since trying it, but I'm really looking forward to the end of this month where I can play around with this a little bit more. It's a really stunning palette, quite like deep and like royal. I think it's really pretty, really like a luxurious looking kind of color story. So yeah, the quality from here up is just incredible, like top Beauty Bay's top quality. But this one is stunning. I really enjoy this one. I just haven't used it too much. I haven't used it barely at all really, which is so upsetting because it's such a pretty palette, and these colours really speak to me. I just got it at a time where I was trying out a lot of makeup, which is unfortunate, but this is stunning and I can't wait to use it in a couple couple of weeks. Then we have their newer palette. So this is the 9 pan from the Midnight kind of collection. This is, I think, very similar to the Book of Magic, kind of, it's meant to be the Book of Magic's kind of like replacement, but I also think it's very similar to this palette here. I think it's kind of like halfway in between, but this one is a really pretty palette. It's got some really gorgeous shades. The shade Gleam in here is really stunning, like a really gorgeous purple. I'm not going to swatch anything like else, but that's just a really gorgeous periwinkle purple, because otherwise we'll be swatching way too much. But yeah, I've only done one look with this so far, but in my defense I've only had it like 2 weeks, but the look I did I really enjoyed. I did some really nice purple with some blue on the lower lash line. It's a really high quality palette, and for £6.50 you really can't go wrong. And then following that, in 4th place we have the Beauty Bay Earthy palette. So this was their replacement to the Wilderness palette, which I actually do have, and this was kind of just the green row in the Wilderness, to be honest, because the Wilderness did have more reds, more blues like mints, and also some kind of more neutral shades. So if this had kind of like a yellow and a red in it, then I'd definitely say it's more so the Wilderness, but this just felt like that kind of an extension of the green row. But this is the shade of the palette here. I really like this one. I don't like it quite as much as the Wilderness, just because it doesn't have the same variety. It is just green, but for a monochromatic green palette, I think you can actually get a really vast variety of looks in here. I think it's very diverse. You can do a lot of different things, even though it is just green, and I really appreciate that in a monochromatic palette, so that's why it's coming in 4th place. Then in 3rd place we have its kind of like older sister, which is the Wilderness. This is a stunning palette. Everything that I said about the greens really applies here, plus you've got some of my favorite little quad down here. For like a neutral look, this is my absolute favorite, and you've got some stunning blues at the top too. The reds are okay quality, but overall I love this one. I think it's such a unique color story, really like just different and really pretty. I can understand why this was so hyped up, because it's really high quality as well as being a gorgeous color story. Then we have another one of their newer palettes. This came out kind of October, end of October last year I think, and that is the Beauty Bay X Jade palette. So this is a 42 color palette. It's my biggest Beauty Bay palette, and they do have some other big palettes, but this is their only large palette in their new formula besides the like brand new ones. But this is the palette here. I do think it should have been split up in 2. I think we could add this colour story and then this colour story in 2 different palettes. But overall, I really like this. You get a big variety, loads and loads of different options, and some really pretty shades. I really do like this palette. I think it is really high quality. It's their like super popular formula, whilst having just such a vast variety of shades. I really can't wait to dig into this a little bit more, because I haven't kind of played with it too much. I think I did a look in my intro, and then I had different shades in my palette. I don't think I've used it kind of separately. I think maybe once I used it, so definitely need to use this one a bit more. And I really like the outer packaging on this, and it's a huge palette, but it doesn't feel like overly bulky. It feels like a good size. I feel like this is my maximum for a palette, but it doesn't feel like gargantuan. And then in top place, 1st place, we have their newest kind of limited edition palette, and that is the Love Notes palette. So a lot of people didn't love this because it didn't really have much depth, and I do kind of see that. It's quite light, but my personal preference, that is what I like in an eyeshadow. I like light pastel colours, and I could get everything I kind of wanted in a look with this palette. It does look a little bit more washed out on camera, it always does because of the lights, but the shimmers in here are just stunning. They are all the super gorgeous wet formula besides Cupid here, which is just their metallic formula, and the mattes in here blend really nicely. I had no issues. I've done 3 looks with this palette and I loved them all. The kind of pinks are really pretty, and I just love this little purple section down here. If you watch my channel, you know I love purples, so I was really happy that they came out with this one, and it's just stunning. It's like almost my perfect palette. I really enjoyed this one, so that's why this is going to be in 1st place. And there you can now see like a little bit more of a close-up of the palette. But yeah, that was just a little quick video kind of doing my updated ranking on my Beauty Bay palettes. I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a like down below. You can hit subscribe and turn on the bell to join a little club. Make sure you turn on all notifications, then you'll be notified every single time I post a new video. Let me know in the comments what your favourite Beauty Bay palette is, if you have them. Let me know what you think about my rankings, if you agree or not. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to watch one of my other videos, there'll be 2 on the screen now to pick from, as well as a load linked up in the cards from earlier. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!